Can I apply for a Spanish non lucrative visa with a mortgage?
Well, this is also a good question. You should be able, and it's true that there are some consulates that put problems with this. The law doesn't say anything about not having a mortgage. In any case, the safer scenario is to show that you will have money enough to have the 30,000 euros that they are asking to show, in addition to the payment of the mortgage of that year.
Can I arrive in Spain before my Spanish non lucrative visa starts?
You shouldn't. I've seen cases, okay? And that depends in the police because you do fingerprints when you enter. So you need an appointment and you do fingerprints. So if the police is flexible with that, you will be okay. And I've seen that they've been flexible. But if they say no, there is a lot of room to fight that because really your visa was starting after.
Yeah, so you could be unlucky and that day have a police officer that tells you that you have to get out of Schengen area and maybe come back in order to get your passport stamped during your visa. And this is, of course, if you still have visa validity time left, because it could be possible that it takes longer than 90 days to get the appointment with the police for your TA appointment. And when they tell you this, you don't even have a valid visa anymore. Could that happen?
Yes, that could happen. I haven't seen it. So, well, in my cases, they are very well guided, so this won't happen. But I have consultation and all that. I haven't seen it, but it could happen. So worst case scenario could happen, and you need to start again everything.
Can I bring a domestic worker with me to Spain under the non-lucrative visa?
No. This is very difficult in Spain. I know that in the US there are visas for domestic employees that have been with you for your whole life. We need to find a solution different to a non-lucrative visa for them. Normally, it's a student visa if they want to study something like Spanish, for example. That is the best. The best scenario is coming to study Spanish and be able for that person to be with you, which is not a perfect scenario, okay? Because it's not really that you can enroll them in Social Security as an employee. So we don't have a perfect solution for that.
Can I move to another city once I am in Spain? And does it affect my non-lucrative visa renewal?
Yes, so yes, you can. No, it doesn't affect to your visa renewal. So the permit is national and you can be anywhere where you want in Spain.
Can I move to Spain under a Spanish non-lucrative visa and work remotely from Spain for a non-Spanish company?
Well, good question. So this is a gray area in our legislation. So if you show this and you say this to the consulate, it's going to be a denial, okay? It's for sure. But really, if that is the situation and you are working remotely, you get the non-lucrative and you are working remotely, it shouldn't be any problem. And there is a ruling from the Supreme Court saying this regarding non-lucrative, where the ruling was talking about taxes, but in the end, they also they address this situation in which the non-lucrative law was published a long time ago when the concept of working remotely in Spain didn't exist. So when the person, the legislator wrote that the non-lucrative applicant cannot work in Spain, was referring to the concept of working in Spain that we had, that was working for a company in Spain or open your own business in Spain, which is not permitted, it's not allowed with the non-lucrative. So if that is your situation, because we are in a gray area, I won't feel very very bad about it. So I know cases because we are prepared to fight that situation if at any moment gives any problems in immigration, which I haven't seen it.
Can I move to Spain under the Spanish non-lucrative visa and maybe purchase a bar and get income from that bar and still be compliant with the requirements?
Yes, especially if the bar is a company. So you can have a company with a non-lucrative. What you cannot be is the administrator of the company, so the representative of the company. But you can have 100% of the shares of the company. What you need is to hire a person that represents the company that has a work permit or nationality. So yes, you can do that, and as long as you are not the administrator of the company.
Is it possible to be under the Spanish non-lucrative visa and not becoming a tax resident in Spain? And will I be able to renew it?
Yes, it's possible because there is a ruling from the Supreme Court saying that immigration cannot make mandatory to be 6 months per year in Spain, because that is written in a bylaw, which is under the law, and that requirement of being 6 months a year in Spain should be in the law. So it's been 3 years from that ruling, and they haven't included in the law. So because you don't need to be 180 days in Spain, you know that to become a tax resident is 183 days from January to December. If you are not that time in Spain, you will not become a tax resident, but they should renew your non-lucrative until they include it in the law. But it's true that they've been many modifications and they haven't included this in the law. So for now, and I think for some years, we are going to be okay with this situation.
And now after November 20th, they have changed the bylaw, the reglamento, to include a minimum stay of 183 days requirement in order to renew. What is your take on this future change in the bylaw?
Which is the situation is the same. It's not applicable. The Supreme Court has been very clear about it. The bylaw cannot ask you to be 6 months per year because it's affecting a fundamental right. That is the right of movement. So they can put whatever they want in a bylaw, and they do it that way because in order to approve a bylaw is easier. The process is easier. But until they don't include it in the law, nothing changed for you. You don't have to be 6 months per year in Spain. The tax residency is set by the calendar year. So from January to December. They ask for 183 days from January to December. So it could be very possible that the first year of your non-lucrative, you don't become a tax resident because you divide some months in the year before, like, September to December, and then some month in the next year. So the first year is very easy to not to become a tax resident, depending on when you got the visa, okay? But even if you get the visa in January, okay? So it is the same for the tax residency because it starts in January, and you are only until May, as you are saying, you don't become a tax resident, and next January they should renew your visa which is not anymore a visa, it's a permit because it's not in the law, the requirement of being 6 months per year in Spain.
How do I pay taxes in Spain? When and how much will I pay as a non-lucrative visa resident?
Well, yes, this is very open, but I'm going to tell you the general idea. I always recommend you a tax advisor, so I can recommend you one, or you can choose whichever you like, okay? Because the rules are the rules. So the thing is, when you come with a non-lucrative visa, normally you don't have any income in Spain, okay? Normally, I say normally because maybe you can buy an apartment and get a rent from the apartment. But normally, if you are with a pension, that is very common, no? The retirement pension. There is a non-double taxation agreement in which what you pay in the US, you don't pay in the Spain, and the other way around. If you were paying a tax of the rent of an apartment in Spain, you will not pay in double in the US. Normally with a non-lucrative it's clear, but in any case it's not so every situation, depending on where you have your business, if you have properties, all of this has to be studied by the tax advisor.
Can I obtain a TIE card without the certificado de empadronamiento?
So normally you can't. So you can't. In many cities they ask for it, but it's true that we have seen in some areas that they are understanding the problem of having for that time of the appointment, the rental agreement, or that people with a non-lucrative are planning to travel and they don't want to be settled in a place. So yes, they are getting a little flexible in some places, but still be a problematic issue. So for example, in Madrid, we don't have that chance. For example, you told me that in Malaga, in one of the police stations, they are accepting this and the other not. So the best thing is to have the empadronamiento. Of course, if you don't have it and you are lucky to be in one of those cities that they are going to be more flexible with that, perfect.
How long can I be out of Spain under the Spanish Non Lucrative visa?
So as we said, in order to renew the non-lucrative visa, you don't need to be a certain amount of time because of the ruling from the Supreme Court, okay? But if you are thinking in the long term and the possibilities in the long term, maybe it affects. For example, passport. The passport that asks you to be or 2 years or 1 year or 10 years, depending on your situation, will not be approved if you have been 3 months in every year out of Spain, okay? So if you are not in Spain, it's okay to renew the non-lucrative, but you will not access to the passport. And for the long-term residency, also there is this limit of the 10 months in the last 5 years. That could be a year instead of 10 months in the last 5 years if it's for working reasons. But be careful, because in this case, this Supreme Court ruling could be applicable, and we are going to try right now the first application for the long-term residency, mentioning this ruling from the Supreme Court. So for sure, they are going to deny it in the beginning, okay, because they are used to, if you are not the amount required of time, they deny it. But we are going to go with a client until the end. So we will go to the court saying that this rule is not applicable, and we will let you know how it goes.
Can I renew the non-lucrative visa for a third time in order to comply with the long-term requirements?
Yes, so what the law talks about is one renewal after the first year, okay? A second renewal is also clear, and the law doesn't say anything about extraordinary renewal, so this another 2 years, but it's true that they are doing it. So a third renewal is clear. What is not clear is another renewal. I haven't seen it.
And you have to be careful. What I heard is not every region permits the third extraordinary renewal. For instance, Galicia, I heard that they're not permitting it, but most of regions do, as far as I understand.
Yes. So super worst case scenario, you apply again, and there are procedures that you can do from Spain. So nowadays, because the regulation is changing, once you have been a certain amount of time in Spain, if you have been really in Spain, there are arraigos. So you can do an arraigo with the financial means. So worst case scenario, if they don't renew it for a third or a fourth time, they're not lucrative, but you want to have it. They don't renew it. You ask for an arraigo with the financial means and with the private insurance, so with the same requirements, and they will approve it. But they are demanding on the time that you should be in Spain the last 2 years. So you couldn't have been 90 days out of Spain in the last 2 years, which is tough also. If not, apply again from the consulate.
You mentioned, if I'm not wrong, that you could potentially renew for a fourth time?
Well, I mentioned this because why for a third and not for a fourth? So if that is my situation, I will try it, because why not? But it's true that I haven't seen it.
What are the common reasons for Spanish non-lucrative visa renewal denials?
Well, there are several. Financial means, especially in the cities that they are asking for double, because you know that in some cities, because they are giving you 2 years, they ask for double of the money. So this is a common denial. Another common denial is when people don't keep the private health insurance for the whole year. They cancel it. And sometimes they have checked not only that you have now a private insurance, but to show that you have been with the private insurance the whole year. So that could be also a denial. And something that is not that I've seen a denial, but they check, is that the children have been attending to school. And this is important. It's getting important because of the because now it's every day more common for the kids maybe to continue attending a school remotely to their American school or wherever in their own country. So this is a situation that is not that usual for immigration, and we should explain and show that okay, these kids are not enrolled in the school in Spain, but they are attending a school, and these are the proof, because this in our legislation is also a gray area, this remote education.
Do I need to transfer my money to a Spanish bank account for renewal, or can I have the funds, for example, in the UK or in the US?
Yes, you can have them there. It's true that in some cities, for example, like Valencia, they ask for a lot of bank statements and like a lot of things that you need to translate if you show it from outside, okay? But it's just translating them. I feel it's a little bit more comfortable because immigration asks for less things to ask to show it from Spain, because especially you usually have a bank account because of the internet and all that. But in any case, if for you it's more comfortable to show it from outside, the only thing is that maybe they ask again for bank statements and translation of everything.
Yes, I heard this is also a region-to-region thing. I heard, for example, Canary Islands, they like to see money or the income coming to a Spanish account, and it is recommended to have it in a Spanish account in this region. But yeah, it's not an official requirement. It's just something
No,
that
the law doesn't say that you need to have the money in Spain, because maybe for you, I don't know, it's producing more interest, the money in the US. I don't know. There could be many reasons. But it's true that then the police or, well, the immigration offices in some cities are like a little special.
Can the IPREM index increase in 2026? And if it increases, does it affect my renewals?
Oh, of course. So when you renew, you need to show that you have the 4 times the IPREM for you, and for the family 1 time the IPREM of the index that applies at that time. So if it's increased in 2026 and you need to renew it, you will have to have more money.
Yes, so right now in 2025, the main applicant is 28,800 euros, and this is 400% of 7,200 euros. So that's 600 per month. Imagine that in 2026, it goes from 600 per month to 650 euros per month. Then the main applicant would have to show 31,200 euros. So
exactly.
Almost 3,000 euros more for financial proof. So it's something that you need to budget accordingly. Is the Spanish government going to implement the 100% tax on property purchases for non-resident, non-EU nationals?
So I have done several talks and consultation with tax advisor, and they say that this is impossible to implement because we are under the European Union law also, and that is again the European Union law. So we think it's 100% impossible that this will really come true.
And actually, we have recorded a video about this specific issue with Marco Gonzalez, expert tax advisor that works with Ainhoa. And yeah, if you want to know more about this subject and know the details, I highly recommend you watching that video. With the golden visa being phased out in April 2025, do you think this could also happen to the non-lucrative visa?
No, I don't think so, because the non-lucrative visa doesn't affect the society in Spain in a bad way. So the basis in taking out the golden visa is that they say that they are putting up the prices of the apartments for the people that live in Spain. The non-lucrative visa doesn't affect. They don't have to buy for a certain price. It's not mandatory to buy. Really, non-lucrative visas are very interesting for the economy in Spain because they just spend money because they are living here without working. So I don't think that is a possibility.
Oh, and one more thing. Apparently YouTube says you're gonna love watching this video right here. I think you should watch it.